All right, everybody, welcome back to the Be That 1% podcast. If this is your first time joining, welcome to the show. And if you are a return listener, welcome home. Thank you for being a part of the Be That 1% community. Today, I want to continue something I have done in the past, but it hasn't been as active as I'd like. And I really want to start bringing more of these aspects into the episodes. And that's more of like a Q&A style. So those that DM me or those that are constantly asking me certain types of questions in my one-on-one coaching sessions, I'm going to bring those into the podcast to continue to add value, offer different perspectives, and bring about more tactical strategies on how you as leaders can grow your impact, grow your business, improve your communication skills, and live life on your terms. After all, being that 1% is not just about being top 1% in your industry. It's about being you, being one of one, being your own 1%. That's what's most important. And that's what I aim to provide on each of these episodes is what's working for me, what's working with my clients, and how can I share that so that you take what you need, apply it, and grow in the ways that you see fit for your life. So one of the questions I'm going to answer on this episode is, how do I increase my employee retention? So I've had quite the extensive experience in the corporate side. It's how I actually began my coaching business, was working with a timeshare company for 4 years, being the in-house performance coach for them and responsible for their new hire trainings and coaching their managers, team leads, and even into the executive level to shape the culture and enhance performance and ensure that everyone came to work with purpose and meaning and was doing work that they were proud of. And it was there that I learned a lot. Took that to MGM, to Caesars, to Nike, to other big organizations around the world that are making impact in their industries. And so here are a few things that I've learned, both in the research and also confirmed in my experience, that I'll share with you. Employee retention is an important metric to know because it signals how you as a leader or how you as a manager or someone of influence within your organization, how you are impacting those that you're leading. And when we have high attrition, so high turnover, people who aren't staying in the company very long, that's an opportunity for us to look at what's going on. Why are people leaving? Why aren't they staying? What's important for me to know to make the necessary adjustments? And so there was a study done in 2012 called Project Aristotle. Some of you may remember me mentioning this on episodes in the past, but it's worth repeating, as each time that I share it and each time that I even hear it, I hear something different as I'm growing as a leader and I'm able to apply it in a different way. But in 2012, Google spent millions and millions of dollars in this 3-year initiative with one goal in mind, to study and answer the question, what makes a perfect team, a high-performing team? And they brought in the best psychologists, sociologists, anyone that could study human dynamics, psychology, emotions, you name it, was brought in to study 180 teams ranging from 3 employees to 50. Over 200 plus interviews were conducted, 250 plus team attributes analyzed. And what they were testing for was both team composition. So this is your personality traits, your sales skills, demographics, those kinds of things within their departments, and also team dynamics, which was, how are these people working together? How are they either synergizing or not so within their responsibilities? And that was measuring team effectiveness. And what they found, these researchers, over this 3-year period of time, was that it was less about who was on the team, right? It's maybe natural to think that if you put a whole bunch of all-stars together on a team, you're going to have the best team. That's not the case. What was the case was that it's not about how great the people are as much as how great they worked together. It was the collective intelligence that they were able to leverage through how they operated that ultimately made a team high performing and one of the top teams inside of Google. And that's really an important distinction to make, because when we're talking about increasing people's retention, wanting them to be where they're at in our companies, right? On our teams, we have to, one, think about how are we working together and where are the gaps there to start closing them, so that when people show up, they're excited to do the work that they've elected to do, right? And so throughout that research, they also found 5 key components that separate these high performing, best teams. And I'll go over all 5 of those on this answer today. But the first one is the most important one, and without this one, you can't create the space or the environment for that intelligence to be shared and leveraged. And that is psychological safety. That the researchers found that the teams that were the highest performing had the highest levels of psychological safety. What does that mean? It means that you have a belief. If you're psychologically safe, you have a belief that your environment, your team is safe for risk taking. That in the face of being seen as ignorant or incompetent or negative or disruptive, you still say the thing. You still ask the question if you don't understand. You're not resistant to saying, I need help, or I don't get it, or can I do this, or can I do that? It's an open forum for ideas to be shared, feedback to be given, and things to be implemented. And within the psychological safety characteristic, there was 2 kind of main components that created this psychological safety. One was conversational turn taking, meaning the meeting wasn't monopolized by one person, either intentionally to not hear anyone else's ideas, or unintentionally by creating sob stories or poor me talk tracks that kind of derail the meeting into a place it doesn't need to go. That was the first thing. So making sure that it doesn't mean that everyone talks for the same amount of time, but everyone is engaged in the conversation. The second is the social sensitivity part. This is your ability to read a room, read people when they're closing up, when they're opening up, when they're excited, when they're coming in with an energy that they don't normally come in with, and their listening ability based on what they're reading. That if these 2 skills were present and active and developed, psychological safety just naturally happened. And through psychological safety, people become more comfortable with being who they are. And within that being who they are, that's where their genius shows up. That's where they don't have to think under constraint. They can be more abstract. They can be more creative, innovative. They can be more positive and naturally become more curious, because they're not afraid as much of being judged. They're more so like, how do we get to the bottom of this? They become more solution oriented. So that's the first thing that we really want to think about in our meetings, in our interactions with people inside of our companies, is where are we creating that psychological safety? Do people feel safe enough to be seen by us, feel safe enough to be themselves within the environment? If they don't, they're going to be projecting a false image of who they are that could create more mental noise in any interaction that you have with them, so much so that they don't retain what you're telling them. So they may agree to your face, but in their head, they're just concerned about how your perception is of them, where they rank within social status within the company, what they did last week that doesn't really pertain to what's happening now. And you get people that live in their heads as opposed to in their environments. So really key to be mindful of. Number 2 is dependability. Can I count on you? 1, to do quality work. Is your work good? And is it done on time? If you tell me you're going to do something, will you do it? And can I trust the quality of the work that you do? That is the second characteristic of these high-performing teams, is dependability. And if I can't depend on you, I probably don't trust you. I'm probably not going to tell you certain things, and that creates distance. It creates tension. It creates frustration. It creates an imbalance of responsibilities and workloads, and that compounded over time can lead to a massive disruption in the culture, in the communication styles, and in the ultimate achievement of the goal, whatever said goal is. right? So we want to, one, make sure that we can depend on ourselves, that we do what we say we're going to do, that we have a level of integrity. Our thoughts, our words, and our actions align. That's integrity. Through that, we develop are dependent on ourselves, right? We're dependable, and then that correlates to what others can view of us. Like if we feel like we're dependable to us, then other people can feel dependable about what we do, and vice versa, right? So always working on ourselves first and then letting that transfer out. But dependability is key. And if you don't have that dependability, then that's an opportunity for improvement. What would you need to see for someone to be dependable? Does that person know that? What are the responsibilities? Which, kind of getting ahead of myself, goes into the third thing, which is structure and clarity. Huge, right? Sometimes when a company is early in its infancy and it's a startup, there's a lot of different things happening than when it's maybe once it's established and it's gotten funding, and now there's a different set of decisions on the table, right? And when you're newer as a company, you have less structure. Maybe you have more. You most likely have less clarity. But as you become more refined, you get more experience, you're in the industry longer, that clarity starts to sharpen, and that structure, hopefully, begins to come in. And if not, then things break apart. But a lot of times I see leaders not instill a level of structure and clarity for roles for people to really understand their jobs. And if their job shifts, to continue that conversation. Because businesses that survive are businesses that can adapt. And with adaptability comes shifts in structure and clarity. And so these things aren't set in stone and like once you have them, you're done, right? This is an ongoing evolution through conversation that needs to be had with your team, with your leaders, with whoever, so that everyone's on the same page. When companies don't do that, then you're on page 64, the other person's on page 24, and there's the disconnect. And so people are trying to implement different things at different times. There's no priorities. People get irritated, stressed, overwhelmed. Certain people pick up the slacks. Other people don't care enough to do so. And everything can kind of start to wither away, right? So what are the goals? What are the roles of the people inside of your organization? And what are the consequences for not accepting that responsibility and ensuring that daily action is taken toward the progress of that goal? That needs to happen daily, if not weekly, to the necessary people. Ideally, if you're the leader, to your direct reports, and then it trickles down from there, right? So that's a key component, structure and clarity, right? So make sure you're explaining the vision and the goals regularly, that work's being done, that clear priorities are being set, metrics are being created so people can track the progress and have something to report or something to measure to know what needs to be adjusted or not, right? And the fourth thing is the meaning of the work. In these high-performing teams, in these teams that were able to get things done and on time with high quality consistently, had large meanings, like a meaning for their work. And that was tied to something that was personally meaningful to them. Like there was an internal purpose to help someone, to serve someone, to be about X, Y, and Z. And they attached that to the work that they did with the organization. So the organization was an extension of who they are, what they want to be represented, the values that they have. And so it went beyond work. It was less about the transactional process of work and more about the who I'm becoming by being in this environment. What does it mean to work at an organization like this? Do I have pride for the work that I do and where I work based on who the people are inside the organization, how they treat me, how I treat them, how I feel, what I'm doing, how I'm growing? All that matters. All that ties into meaning. And so as leaders, we got to make sure that the people that are in our team, on our team, understand the meaning behind what they do. This leads to consistency. This leads to empowerment for the individual to want to get better because it's ultimately affecting them, right? And it's, you're as a leader, your number one responsibility is influence. And so these kind of 5 characteristics can give you a framework to use and leverage to influence people in a way that feels right for them and for you. And it's a win-win scenario for the company or the organization. So what is the meaning? Is the work I do or you do for our team meaningful to you, to them, to the company, and why? And the 5th thing is impact. What's the impact of the work that you do? Who's the beneficiary of all the effort that you're putting in each day? From the data entry person to the salesperson to the IT person to the CEO. What is your impact on those that you serve, right? What's the impact, the clients? What's the impact that you have on your colleagues or your coworkers? What's the impact that the job has on you? Is the job making you a better person? Is it helping your pursue your better health? Is it giving you a rich reason to show up, right? All that is impact. And we want to be mindful of the impact that work has on all of those levels, right? So how is it on impact on self, on our coworkers, our environment, and the client? And being clear and talking about that regularly. We're going to implement this new decision within our organization. Here's the meaning behind why that is. Here's the impact of if we pull this off. Here's who benefits. Our clients. Here's how you benefit. Here's how we as a company benefit. And here's how you as an individual benefit. If you frame a new idea like that, if you frame anything like that, there's a higher likelihood that one, you're going to increase engagement. You're going to get people excited because they're now clear on what growth looks like, what it will feel like, and some sort of metric to gauge if they're getting closer or not. Right? And that all comes from clarity. And so if we can leverage these 5 things, psychological safety, dependability, structure and clarity, meaning, and impact, we equip ourselves with a solid, well-researched framework to increase employee retention and more than that, begin to set the foundation for raving employees, people who love where they work, what they do, and who they work with. And if you can hit all those out of the park, you have a loyal base that as a leader, you want to serve to the best of your ability. And that means maximum engagement, which means a collective leveraging of intelligence, which means best idea typically wins. And that means the quality of output is there, establishing that organization, your team as a top tier, you name it, right? And someone who, or something that is sought after by people who enjoy and want quality. So take what you want from this episode, figure out which of those 5 you most need to improve, and begin working on small little shifts to enhance those areas. And my guess is that as a byproduct of that, you'll not only see your employee retention go up, but you'll see morale boost, you'll see productivity boost, and you as a leader will feel more energized at work, leading to better meetings, better innovation, and overall quality of life. So thank you for listening. If you got value from this episode, please share this with someone you think it will resonate with. And if you haven't done so already, please head over to iTunes and leave me a review. Would love to get your feedback and help me get this message out to more people. My intention for building this podcast is to share, insights, strategies, tools for people to benefit from, right? And if you're listening and you're getting value from this, that means someone else like you that is looking for something similar, you can facilitate that level of growth by passing this along. So that's my ask. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of the community. Until next time, go out there and be your 1%. Much love. Peace.